Hello and welcome to SarahJane Creates. I'm Sarah. Today I thought it would be really lovely to start making buttermilk scones. Scones are a bit of a food of the moment, lots of cream teas flying around out there, and I thought it'd be nice to show you how to make some really simple ones. Don't worry if you can't get hold of buttermilk, just use some plain yoghurt. Here's the list of ingredients. Other things that you'll need: mixing bowl. I'm using my trusty blunt knife again. You'll need a clean tea towel, some kind of cooling wire, or if you haven't got a cooling wire you can always use one of the racks from the oven, but obviously make sure it's cold. You are going to need something to cut your scones with. So traditionally you'd use straight-sided cutters for savoury scones like cheese, and for sweet scones you'd use fluted cutters, but whatever you've got. It is worth investing in a set of cutters, but what you'll find is, I'll show you there, because it's got a really fine cutting edge, yeah, certainly with scones you'll get a better result because it won't squash the material that you're trying to cut. I'm using a deep-sided roasting tin and I've lined it. I've washed my hands, I've put an apron on and I'm ready to go. We're going to use the rubbing in method to turn this into a breadcrumb type mixture. So you will have seen that on my recipe for making flaky pastry. So just to remind you, you're pinching bits, sloughing bits off the butter and rubbing it in with the flour, sugar and baking powder mix to make fine breadcrumbs. Lift as you rub, it will help keep the mixture cool and also incorporate air. And that's one of the things that you need to help give your scones some lift. The three things in this recipe that are going to give your scones lift is air, baking powder and an egg. Keep going until you've got fine breadcrumbs. You should end up with something that looks like that. To our breadcrumb type mixture we're going to add 100 grams of raisins. No matter how much money you spend on your finest ingredients, I don't know if you can see that very well, you will find instances of stalks that have made it through the process. It's up to you. You can pick over your fruit or not. So just stir those in and then put that to one side. Might as well reuse a bowl that we've already used. I'm going to crack in my large egg. Check it's good. You can see it's nice and fresh. And add to it your 75 grams of buttermilk. If you haven't got buttermilk, natural yoghurt, plain yoghurt is fine. And then I'm just going to use my knife just to beat it together. At this point it doesn't look particularly appealing. Once you've mixed together your egg and your buttermilk, pour it all in to your dry ingredients. This is where the knife comes in again. We want to try and keep our hands out of the mixture as much as possible. Try and keep this nice and cool. So combine it with the knife. You don't want to work the mixture too much, otherwise it will become tough and you won't get that nice crumbly texture when you eat them. If you find that your mixture isn't coming together very well, add a tiny bit more buttermilk or yogurt. If you've run out of buttermilk or yogurt, add the merest drops of water or milk. Okay. I'm probably not going to work that anymore. There's still quite a few loose bits at the bottom, but now I'm going to tip it out onto my work surface. There should be enough flour loose here that I don't have to add any more. And just, don't need it, but just use your hands to squash it together into a ball of dough. It should be not too sticky and not too dry. One of the things that recipes need to do is give you a rough idea as to how many you're going to be able to make out of it, which is why they give you cutter sizes, which in my opinion are far too small. So lots of recipes say use a cutter that's about 5 centimetres. Well, that's tiny, that's tiny. I would go for a cutter which is about 7 centimetres, but you decide. What size scone do you want to eat? What size scone do you want to give? I'm going for this one. Before you cut, just make sure that your fruit is not sticking out, because it will catch and burn. Press down. Do not twist your cutter. If you twist your cutter, you are guaranteed to have a lopsided scone. Press down. If you get fruit that's kind of in the way, just scoop it out of the way. Look at that. Squish it together. Now, in my view, there is no such thing as the perfect scone. It's like King Arthur and Excalibur. Stuff of myth and legend. A perfect scone should be about flavour and enjoyment of eating. It shouldn't matter if it's not perfectly tower-like, if it hasn't fallen over. But it does matter if it's unpleasant to eat, if the mixture's too tight, or if it falls to bits as soon as you look at it. That matters. And if the fruit in it has burnt, that matters. But scones that look like rock cakes, who cares? So with your last little bit, I tend to use my cutter as a former, pop it in and press it into shape. There. So just check that you don't have rogue bits of fruit sticking out, because they will burn and it will taste horrible. So like that bit, you can munch that. So with your tray and your beautifully cut scones, put them in the tray but upside down, and you've got a nice flat top or bottom on the top. I have made scones for competition and it is very difficult to get them in this fairy tale finish that we seem to think about with scones. I've tried many different recipes and I've spoken to many different people about it. Oops. And I think sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. What I like to do is pop these in the fridge for probably 15 minutes to cool that mixture down before I put it in the oven. Once your scones have rested, just need to glaze them with a little bit of the buttermilk and sprinkle them with a little tiny bit of caster sugar. You need to preheat your oven, 220 degrees C, 425 Fahrenheit or gas mark 7, and we're going to bake those for about 15 to 20 minutes. Once they've finished cooking, you need to take them out of the oven, put them on a cooling wire and wrap them in a clean dry tea towel that will hold the moisture in and that will keep them lovely and soft. They're best eaten while they're still warm. I hope you've enjoyed my video tutorial on how to make scones. There are loads of different recipes out there and lots of different flavours. Thank you for watching SarahJane Creates, and I'll see you soon. Bye!